Hey William,
Hey
welcome
Jay.
to this week's our QA session. Today's March 22nd. Okay, so now my first question is more about the sleep and maybe nightmares and that area. Actually, today I did not get a good sleep. I vividly remember a nightmare which I got. Maybe some deep fear which I might have, like any human being.
hmm
I would like to know more about do you also get nightmares these days? Is my basic question, and more details if you can share with us.
Yeah, at this point, I really don't. In the past, when I had like really bad anxiety, I had like a recurring nightmare where I would like be in a basement, like a dark basement, and I would be sitting like in the middle of the room, and I knew that there was another like presence like within that room, and they were out to quote unquote get me, and um, at times like I would actually scream, like, kind of in my sleep, and my ex-wife would have to like wake me up from that nightmare. And it happened quite often. But that just goes to show you, like, when the mind is so busy during the day, it's going to carry through into the night. Like a busy mind during the day is going to be a busy mind at night.
Hmm.
And like a lot of people try to concentrate on like fixing their sleep, but that's actually not really the right approach. Like the right approach is to work on your mind during the day to kind of relax the mind and come to that place of peace and silence within the mind, and that would carry forward into your sleep. I mean, I do dream a little bit, but I used to wear a Fitbit, and like my REM sleep has gone down like dramatically. Like I just have like a couple minutes of REM sleep throughout the night, so my mind is mostly quiet. It's quiet during the day, so it's quiet at night. It's going to be this. It's a reflection of your waking state.
Okay, so if your rapid eye movement sleep has gone down. I mean, I also wear this Google watch from the past few days
Mm-hmm.
just to measure this. Then the other two states are like, waking state and then deep sleep state.
Mm-hmm.
So
Oh,
if you
it's like,
don't have,
you mean like light sleep? You're talking
yeah,
about,
okay,
yeah, because there's light sleep as well,
okay,
which you're not dreaming, but you're not in deep sleep either.
okay. So what's your like ratio, like deep sleep, light sleep, waking throughout the night when you're in the bed?
You say waking, do you mean light? Like waking is you're awake.
1 second. Actually, I mean, at least based on this guy, and interestingly, this is what I was looking
Oh, do you mean awake during the night? Like awake during the night?
awake. Like, oh wow, good that you can see the screen. See, if you see the screen, right?
Yeah,
So those red dots are I'm awake, like 12 a.m., 4 a.m., 2 a.m. For few seconds or minutes or whatever, I am awake, and this guy is rapid eye movement sleep. So, 1 second, let me see if I can. Yeah, so all four of them is there in that whatever 7, 8 hours of sleep,
yeah,
right? So, like awake, like I was 46 minutes awake, once at like 12 p.m. and then 2 and then like 3 a.m. Yeah, and then, yeah, so even in the middle of like 2 a.m., I was awake for a minute.
yeah. I mean, I think that's common. I'm not a
Yeah,
sleep expert, but I think that there's different sleep stages. I think it's like a 90-minute sleep stage
right.
that everybody
Yeah.
goes through. And like for me, like I think that I wake up probably, I don't know, maybe a little bit less than everybody else. but my mind is just not active.
Which part of? Because we see this four phases, right? Of I mean, the in the bed awake for few minutes, three, four times, and then rapid eye movement, light and deep sleep. So if the rapid eye movement has vanished, and so your light sleep and deep sleep have increased in duration.
I would say a little bit, like in the deep sleep. The deep sleep hasn't increased as much as the light sleep.
Oh, okay. I see.
But I also found that I don't need as much sleep as I used to.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I like I got up at like 4:30 this morning.
Wow. Okay. So
I
if
mean,
you
I go
don't
to
mind,
bed a
yeah.
little. I go to bed a little bit earlier. I go to bed like
Okay.
10:30,
So
so
it's
I get
it's around 6 hours
about
of sleep.
six. Yeah,
Wow. Okay.
like I did my exercise before. Like I got onto the call today
Hmm.
because what you end up realizing is like the energy is not coming from your body. Like your energy is not really coming from the body. Your energy is coming through the body
Okay.
because you're in a field of energy. Consciousness is a field of energy,
But
and
it is everywhere.
if you're open to that, then it
Okay.
comes up through your body.
Right. But when you say energy, it is not to lift a ton of weight in the sense. When you say energy, like, can you please say something about that? When you say energy?
I don't know if you want to call it like the vital breath or like prana or whatever
Hmm.
you want to describe it as.
Oh, I see.
You can get energized by tapping into that source. You're tapping into the source of your own creation,
Hmm.
as opposed to having this mental concept that my body is giving me the energy that I'm using to exist within this material world, because that's kind of a limitation of what you actually are.
Right.
But you have to be open to
Yeah.
being something greater than the material existence that everybody kind of accepts themselves as.
But William, we all believe that the energy we have comes only from food. So, I mean, have you gone without having food like for a dish? I mean, can you?
No, I don't
Right?
do that. I don't even fast. Like I don't do that type of stuff. Like I still eat. So the body is getting energy from food, but there's another source on top of that
Okay.
that that's available.
Hmm.
And I don't like I know some gurus like who was I thinking of, like Sadhguru was, he's kind of a very energetic guy for somebody of his age, and he
Hmm.
says that there is like a life force that
Hmm.
is open to you, that if you don't tap into it, you kind of like you lose your what's that word, vitality. I
Yeah.
forget the word,
Okay.
vitality.
Yeah.
But you can, it's like the presence that you tap into, that you are, you're opening yourself up to something greater than the body, because the body is actually existing within you, the consciousness. And you feel a difference. You feel a difference in your energy when you open up to it. I mean, that's why like when people go into nature, they feel kind of like energized because they're letting go of the idea that they're there as the individual, and they're kind of like soaking in, the essence of the environment, of that energy field that's available.
But okay, most of the people they want to be. in the hustle and bustle of the city rather than staying in a village which is surrounded by nature because they say it is boring, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you can open up to the energy no matter where you are. Like you don't need to have the rushing around of the city to be energized.
Mm.
But it's the mind's idea. Like what do you here as?
Okay, okay. One more question. I remembered, William, based on some of the tweets you had yesterday. Okay, so now I think in the world, 99.999 percentage of the people think that they are the body and mind, and that is how they behave from their young age till their death. They don't
Mm-hmm.
even question, they don't even like think otherwise. They think I am this body, I am this mind, and that they die. Like my grandpa, I've seen my father and many people surrounding me, right? They don't even question. They think this is me, my body, my mind, and whatever I possess, right? These are all
Mm-hmm.
like mine and all. But the Advaita people say, look, you are not your body, you're not your mind, but you are that wholeness, the timeless, the nameless presence, right? Which makes everything possible, right?
Yeah.
So I've seen many Advaita people like every alternate sentence they say in the apparent world. They use that apparent very frequently, and
Mm-hmm.
then I've even heard many people joke that, you mean in the apparent world, like apparently it appears, it's
Yeah.
apparent, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now, even when yesterday, you tweeted, never give up on your dreams,
Right.
right? Now, I think should you not put that disclaimer from the consciousness point of view? Apparently, saying that never give up on your dreams is like a limiting projection. Because if you just say in a tweet, never give up on your dreams, no, then except one out of 100,000 people are going to say, no, this is what the whole society is teaching me. Don't give up on your dreams. Have dream, have ambition, work for it, sacrifice, like
Yeah. Well,
go somewhere. Yeah.
that's why I sent the tweet out to go counter to that idea.
Okay. But then you have to put the disclaimer, right? See, you're you can't
Now,
put disclaimer that this is from
it,
consciousness point of view. Apparently, you
no,
don't want to put that.
because I'm speaking to consciousness. Like I'm not speaking to the person
But William, if you are consciousness and you want to speak to consciousness, but then why should consciousness even speak to consciousness? The problem is in the mind.
because it's like a part of the consciousness is awake, speaking to the part that's asleep. You're
You
still
mean,
talking to the consciousness. You're always talking to the consciousness. There's only the consciousness.
but then consciousness doesn't have a problem. Why are you speaking to the consciousness?
I mean, that's asking why is God? Like, what are we here for? It's one of those answers. You can't answer those questions.
Hmm.
This is the way that this body mind is being moved. And like, I seem to get more resonance with this type of tweet than with a tweet that says, like, you are the consciousness, you don't exist, like, you're just an illusion. Like, people don't resonate with that. So if you actually speak to something within them that already knows what they are, at their you have to kind of like know your audience, like know who you're speaking to. Like if I'm going to speak to a group of seekers that I've been seeking for 20 years and they already know all this stuff, then it's a different conversation. But on Twitter, like not
Yeah.
everybody is at that level. Like you haven't been following the path for 20 years. I mean, some people have, but a lot of people haven't. So you can't like I get a lot of like pushback too on my tweets sometimes. Like people are like, you know, there is no self to love or something like that. Like,
Yeah. Okay.
but you have to understand that you're trying to reach something within somebody to let them know what's there, like let them know what's inside of them, as opposed to like I had another guy kind of telling me that like my words didn't match the Buddha's words. Like,
Okay. Expectation.
yeah, and like there's something within me that knows like kind of how to touch upon what you actually are. Like, and it doesn't have to be the letter of the law of the Buddhist teachings, because you know the Buddha was not. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, but it's like instead of tweeting about consciousness, like I started to tweet like from consciousness
Hmm.
in a more like loving expression of it, as opposed to like teaching. Like I'm not teaching anything. It's just an expression. There's a lot of
Hmm.
people that will teach
Hmm.
what they
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and that doesn't always do anything. Like there's a lot of people that know a lot, but you don't feel anything from them.
Okay. So then this demands, I think, in my humble opinion, a quick screen sharing. Okay. So if you see the screen, what you're saying is, out of this, whatever, 8 plus billion people, see, there is one universal consciousness, the
Mm-hmm.
one witness, one awareness, which is in the greenish color. And then here, actually, the reality of J's projection, whether it is thought, mental activity, or even when Jairam sees the universe and the earth, it is it is inside this one universal consciousness only. But then Jairam thinks he's separate. But then
Yeah.
in reality, he's all. And like this, there is lots and lots of people, and then there is this physical universe. And then there are people like William, who obviously from my point of view, from Jairam's point of view, claim that their reality is not this personality or the body of William, but their reality is actually the wholeness,
Right.
right? And and
Mm-hmm.
and William also says that he has got the emotion of a 5-year-old, like an innocent. Like he's also emotional, but it is out of innocence. And William also says he has got an intellect. He can logically think, he can plan, and he can commit, and he will do his level best to accept. I mean, to follow as committed, right?
Yeah.
So now what you're saying is you are tweeting William. I mean, from my point of view, I'm only seeing William is tweeting. But then what you're saying is the wholeness. I mean, William as a personality, as a persona, as a tweeter, knows that is reality is this one universal consciousness. But out this universal consciousness is only has come as William, and William is tweeting as a personality using his phone or a computer to tweet with the intention of reaching J Ram and person X in the world to tell them, to communicate to them, look, you are always this, that one universal consciousness. But you are having this facade or having this mask. Unconsciously, you are held up onto this mask, and whatever appears and disappears, you are too much held. But if you relax, you will, without that aggressive, ambitions and all, if you relax, you will know that you are always that one universal consciousness.
Right.
Is it?
Yeah. You basically said it all. It's, I mean, there is nothing that's not the consciousness. Like everything is the consciousness.
But but the fundamental problem is most of us think that I am my body mind.
Yeah, and that's why some, for whatever reason, like I end up tweeting what I tweet.
To bring them out of this idea that you are not, your reality is not body mind.
Yeah, like what is any gurus has any type of pointing.
But
I'm not,
see,
not I'm not claiming to be a guru, but
right, okay.
the same principle.
But William, these gurus don't start like this. They don't say, hey, drop everything. Your reality is wholeness. Even many gurus says, "Ca- you come to me, I will teach you, I will give you clarity. I will give you the body mind which I'm thinking, give you clarity, and then you have to work for decades on this thing." They don't say you're already that at all. Very rarely only people say. And if even if somebody says you're already that, I think 99% of the people will say, no, it cannot be. That's a lie. And then they don't even listen to this people, right?
Yeah, I mean, I try to mix the two to
Okay.
try to get you to understand that you're already that. But there's also a little work that's involved to unwind what you're not. Like it's more of an unwinding what you're not, as opposed to doing anything to, like, you're not working to get something that you don't have. Like you don't need to be creative, you don't need to be intelligent.
Yeah.
You actually just need to be simple. If you become simple, like you become quiet, you become relaxed, you become like less needy, less desirous, then
Right.
it reveals itself to you as you. Like that's the pointings are all just to unwind the tightness of the mind. That's all it is. You're not teaching any type of intellectual understanding. When the intellect becomes quiet and the psychological mind becomes quiet, you realize that there's something else there. And you realize that that's what I am. Like, I am the silence. There's a presence in the silence. It's not empty.
Okay.
And that's within everybody already. Like everybody has had moments of like an understanding within themselves. Even if it's just outside, like getting um, like a nice feeling outside with a breeze and the sun on your face and you hear the wind through the trees and you feel something, you get like those goosebumps. And it's that's the realization of what you actually are inside. It's like you beyond the idea of you is feeling something, or listening to music, or like wherever we lose that identification of the individual, like we're already there as the pure consciousness. It's just that nobody takes the time to work on unwinding the busyness of the mind. because we've just been habituated into believing that this is what I am and there's no alternative. I am what my mind says I am is the the idea that everybody carries with themselves, but it's actually not true.
Hmm. So you said music and being in the nature. So William, actually that's an interesting point. When anybody hears like pure music, like without even the words most of the time, then actually the mind is not needed at that
Mm-hmm.
time. So they are so involved, then the mind doesn't exist for that 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 15 minutes, or whatever. This mind like is useless. Like,
Yeah,
right? I mean, it's a different um it's a is different world, and it's a different thing, right? So mind is not there. So at that time, um then the whole then this you, when mind is not there, then the universe is running the show. I
yeah.
mean,
It's always running the show, but you lose the idea that you're running the show.
and the separation,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you lose the separation
because I don't exist. I mean, the mind exists. I mean, mind don't exist. When the
in
mind
that
don't
moment.
exist, there is
Yeah,
no separation. When I
yeah,
hear listening to the music.
yeah. I mean, there never is separation, just the apparent separation.
Thanks for the disclaimer.
Mm.
That there is apparent separation. Okay, so even the separation is only apparent and transient and unreal.
Yeah,
Oh,
and you can exist in that same state that you exist in with music
yeah.
throughout your entire day, where you're not actually your identification's not coming in to separate yourself from the world. It's just an idea that you're holding on to, that you're separate. It's just a thought. And you let go of the thought and you become one with everything that is. You become one with the music of life.
Wow. But isn't mind or the separation needed to function in the society?
No, because you can carry that at a superficial level where you don't believe it. You know that it's just an illusion. Like you can put on the persona as opposed to thinking the persona is you. It's a difference.
Okay. I go with the flow of this apparent world. Maybe we can say then using the intellect and the emotion. But these are all make believe world without
Yeah,
any
and you're
reality.
and there's no owner to them. Like the emotions will still arise,
Okay.
but they're not personal. They're not your emotions, and that's why they don't stay because they're just appearances. Same way a thought appears, an emotion appears, and it's felt, and then it recedes back out of the existence, as opposed to somebody else who feels an emotion and takes it personally and takes ownership of it and like logs it into the memory bank that this person did this to me and I'm going to be very angry, and it creates this whole narrative like within the mind that it perpetuates the emotion because you're taking ownership of the experience. But when there's no individual actually having the experience, you can have somebody, like I was saying earlier about like having like detractors on Twitter, like saying like negative things about like what you're tweeting, and it's like okay, like like I see you. I'm not gonna bite into what you're
Hmm.
offering, you know.
Hmm.
Whereas in the past, I may have like gotten like riled up, and how can this person be saying this about me? And it's just a much more relaxed attitude because there is no ownership.
Okay. So thoughts appearing, disappearing is also okay. emotions are also okay, intellect also okay, but the thought thinking that the persona exists is the only part of the problem.
Yeah. If you fix that one problem, everything else gets fixed. But people don't focus on that part of the problem because they don't know that it's something that they can work on. They think that they have to fix all the personal problems
Oh,
as opposed as opposed to fixing the root problem, which is
William,
which is the person.
I mean, aiming to fix the personal problem is also forgivable. But most of the people think it's a societal problem. The whole world is corrupt. I am good, so they want to fix the societal problem.
Yeah, it's true too. But in essence, them being there as the person is the root of the problem as well.
Right? So fixing the whole society, the whole country,
Yeah,
it is like, yeah,
you see it on Twitter. Like there's so many people like arguing about
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
different world aspects and politics.
Hmm.
Just a lot of like rigid like rigid viewpoints that they just can't get beyond, and that becomes their entire lives. That they're just struggling to get their point across that they're right and whoever's on the opposite side is wrong.
Okay, so aiming to fix the world's problem, it is like million times more meaningless. Even aiming to fix my problem, it is also not going to work out. But just knowing that the I, that personality created by the mind is an illusion, is sufficient.
Yeah, that fixes everything.
Wow, this gives a humongous clarity, or it shows like where one has to focus. It's not the whole world, it's not even the personality, it is even inside that thing. I mean, it, that thought thinking that I exist.
Yeah.
Okay, this is great. I mean, fantastic. At least we know where to attack, honestly. I mean, where is the root of the problem now?
Yeah, and the difficulty is that you can't take on the identity of the I to fix the I. Like that's kind of one of the traps that people fall into. They're there as the personal I trying to get rid of the personal I, and they get frustrated because they can't get beyond themselves.
Okay, so then let me continue to share my screen again and let us elaborate this. Okay, so now even in the um, William, to represent that persona or the personality or that individual personality made by thought, I would like to use this symbol called rho, which is also a symbol for resistance. Rho
Okay.
is like R in Greek, and
Mm-hmm.
fortunately, it's also symbol for resistance because this guy's main job is to resist what is happening.
It's true.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. So what you're saying is even whatever appears is okay. Emotions are okay. Using intellect is okay. Whatever hell appears is okay. nightmares are okay, right? And any thought appearing is okay. But then inside the thought, when a thought is created, this um, this thought made personality is also created, and this this has a likes and dislike, and this prefer something and hate something else, and he or she has got a mental model of this universe and the world and other people. This is how the others has to behave. This is how the society has to work with me. This is how my body should be, right? All those set of expectation is what this thought made personality demands, right?
Yes.
Now that is the problem. And that thought made personality thinks it is separate from the universe, and it is like it's an individual. It exists, it has got a birth and death, and even after death it wants to go to heaven and then live forever
Yeah,
with the gods,
yeah, just keep continuing.
right?
Yeah,
it, and diverge, I mean, an unrelated question. So is this whole idea of heaven and hell are just this persona demanding thing just to continue itself ever after?
yeah. The real heaven and hell, I think it's more of it's like a metaphor for your state of mind. When you're there as the person, it's hell. When you're there as the consciousness, it's heaven.
Hmm. Okay. Give me a second. Let us. Yeah. Okay. This guy. So this thought made. Yeah. Okay. So this guy want to continue as that mask persona thought made apparent thing
Yeah,
everlastingly. So he imagines there is hell and heaven, and luckily, because the 8 billion people also want to believe that they are that facade or that mask is going to live ever after. All the 8 billion people happily agree. Yeah, yeah, hell and heaven exist, and they like keep like validating it and saying that, and building stories on it. Okay, you will get that in hell, you will get this in heaven, right?
yeah,
Hmm, interesting. But
yeah. But like we were saying earlier, like the individual can't move beyond itself.
right,
Like it can't free itself. That's why there's a lot of seekers, but not that many people that come to the realization of what they are because they're seeking as the individual within the experience. And the answer is not within the experience.
right. Yeah, not. I mean, not within this persona, which is
Not,
transient.
it's not really even within the entire experience. You're coming to
Experience of
understand
appearing and
of the world,
disappearing, you mean?
appearing as anything within the world. You come to understand that what's appearing in the world is an appearance within you, the consciousness. Like you're beyond the world.
Okay.
Because if you think that you're still the not even the individual, but if you think that you're still within the existence, even you say that like I'm the body mind, but I'm not. Like, say your mind comes up with the idea that this is non-duality. That
Right, right,
I'm here, but not as an individual. But you're still
right.
holding on to the idea that you're here.
Because I'm using the mind to say that
Yeah,
statement.
the mind is still holding that little piece of its own existence. So you're never really coming to understand that actually you're beyond the mind. The mind is just an appearance within you.
Hmm.
Psychological mind. And that's why like relaxation is important because you have to relax out of like, kind of really out of your mind, out of your own existence.
Relax out of the mind and the whole of existence. When you say existence, you mean the physical universe, right,
Yeah,
William? Okay,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. I mean, there's only physical universe, and then there's mind, right? The mind, the physical universe also experience. I mean, the physical universe also appears in the mind.
yes. Yeah, so until you see that there has to be something prior to the mind that is aware of the existence, then you're still trapped within that kind of you're spinning your wheels within the existence. The mind is just spinning its wheels. Like even there's a lot of people that come to the realization that this is non-duality, but they're
Okay.
still there as the mind that holding that opinion,
Hmm.
and they never really open up to something beyond like, that that idea that they're holding.
Yeah.
That's why like a lot of people will be dry. Like you won't feel anything from them when they're speaking about it because it's just an intellectual understanding.
Yeah. This is nothing to do with the transient mind,
Mm.
and this cannot be put into words at all. Uh, and for me, the reason why I'm confidently saying is even the taste of salt or sugar cannot be put into words, and the other person is not going to know that.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh, so mind has
You,
got its own limitations, and like even the other example I give is you cannot smell with your eyes. Eyes can be so sharp, so phenomenal. It can show so many colors and all, but it can't smell. It can't hear.
mm,
Right? It is impossible for eyes to smell, for example, right? So it is impossible for the mind to know the universal consciousness
yeah,
because that is something, this is something. This mind is not built for it. Like it is not, it doesn't have that capability. That is how it
yeah.
is, right? So what can we do? We have to only accept it. Uh,
You have to learn to relax. There's not a lot of people that actually know how to relax in the world.
yeah, yeah,
And
for sure.
people think relaxation is like going on vacation and
Yeah.
sitting on the beach, but relaxation happens in the mind
Yeah.
every day, moment to moment.
Actually, William, when even before my marriage, once I thought, okay, I mean, I can't like get into this commitment. Then I thought, with 500 Indian rupees, I took 500 Indian rupees only, and I went to the train station from Mysore in my native place, and I went
Mhm.
to a train station. I said, okay, give me a ticket to the Himalayas, like I mean Delhi, and then I got into a bus into Haridwar, and it's all one way ticket. My decision is not to come back, and I was in J. Krishnamurti Study Center for a month near
Okay.
river in the Himalayas, and it was just adjacent to a beautiful river. I think Bhagirathi River. It goes and joins Ganga after some distance. It's one of these
Mhm.
uh, tributaries, and there's a J. Krishnamurti Study Center, and I was there for a month. And you cannot believe nothing happened. My mind is still running, my problems, my parents, my work, my career. It was spinning and spinning and spinning. Then I thought, okay, enough is enough. I want to go back. Then I only had money to come back to Delhi. I
Okay.
little bit stayed up, and I came back to Delhi. I went to internet browsing centers, called my brother. I mean, I messaged my brother. He sent me money to come back from Delhi to Mysore, which is another 24 hours of train journey.
Okay.
So then I realized wherever you go, there you are.
Yeah. It's true. You have to face yourself. Can't run from yourself.
Yeah. So I came back. I told my parents, okay, spirituality. I have to get married. I mean, I said yes to the girl. My parents decided. I got married and settled, and life is like this. And uh, yeah. So this mind, yeah. So if you take vacation, even if you decide to be monk, you are not going to completely lose that past which you believe is real. Like your the image of your parent is real. The image of whatever your grandparents land or home they left is like mine. I didn't leave any of those things, even though I took a one-way ticket and went to the actual Himalayas.
Yeah.
I could not like drop any of those things. So
Yeah.
uh,
Everything has to happen at the right time.
yeah.
Wasn't the time.
But then we cannot but then William, see, in one way we also see this the success of Buddha, who is a warrior class guy and
Hmm.
who know horse riding, who know politics, who know how to wield a sword and all those things, right? He's a warrior class guy and really, really he worked hard and then he achieved. So this gives an inspiration that you should drop everything and go and work hard till you achieve this, right? So even this looks like is an achievement where you have to go tremendous pain, like Buddha ate only one
Yeah.
the grain of rice for a day for like
Hmm.
months. So even there it says like a tremendous effort from me is required, and if I'm not reaching, then it is my failure.
Yeah. You have to give like great effort to see the futility of effort. Like that's
Mm.
kind of what you have to do. But if you're not fully committed to giving that effort, then you'll still think that there's some way to achieve it this way. Like you really have to be fully committed to it to realize that actually this is not the way. It's kind of like it's paradoxical.
Right?
Only when you fully commit can you see the futility of it. Because if you're just like kind of doing it as like a hobby or an interest, like a spiritual interest, you never really get to the point of complete futility. And sometimes, like we spoke about another time, about futility may come through some type of suffering
Mm.
that I can't take this anymore moment. Like you may not even have any idea what spirituality is, but you've suffered enough and you come to some type of realization. But then there's still work involved like I said, about unwinding, the programming that you're kind of habitually moving under. Like you're already being moved by the influence of your past. So in essence, you have to drop your past, but that's not something that people can just do.
Yeah.
It's something that you have to come to realize that it actually doesn't exist.
And
Like
as you said, yeah.
it becomes like a self reflection, and you really look, and like for myself, I was always like I never went to college. Like this version of me, like
Mm.
I never had anxiety. Like those were just appearances. They were appearances that flashed into existence, and now there's just this existence right here. There is no other existence other than right here. Like anything that you're carrying from the past is just an idea.
Mm. Mm.
It doesn't exist. The only thing that exists is this moment right here, and you're completely open to whatever you want this moment to be. You don't have to have a past. Like you know that it does. It's just something that you're imagining. Like you can't go back to your past.
Yeah.
and you have no obligation to be who you are in this moment to who you were a moment ago. You have no obligation to carry that persona forward. But we're so conditioned into thinking that that's how everything progresses, and you have to carry that with you. But that's the burden. That's
mm,
the burden of like carrying. You're carrying a whole life that no
yeah.
longer exists.
Mm,
To be free, you have to be free in the moment. To act from the moment as it is, not from the moment as you imagined it used to be. That's freedom. Like that's where you have a lightness to you. You don't have the heaviness of the past. Like you don't have to carry that. I mean, it's hard because everybody expects you to, and it's
yeah,
actually it's hard actually with people that you've known for like a long time
right.
because they expect you to be who
This
they
way,
yeah who they knew you to be,
right,
and sometimes you kind of have to just like go along with the idea of who you were because
right.
people aren't going to understand like if you're coming at them from a different point of perception.
Hmm.
So you just kind of play the role of yeah.
Okay, so if I
But
want
that's
to
why
go, yeah.
that's why it's difficult too because you have to be able to stand on your own without having like anybody understand you because a part of you wants people to understand,
Hmm.
and that will keep you caught within the mind because the mind wants that connection. They want the mind, like when I first started having these insights, I was always like telling everybody, hey, you're looking at life the wrong way. Like you need to you need to look at it this way. And like my family and friends would be like, what are you talking about?
Hmm.
Like I remember my brother-in-law, like because I was telling him like your mind can be quiet. He's like, I need my mind. Like I'm always like working. Like I'm always thinking about work. I'm like on the way to work, after work. Like I need to. Like, no, that's not.
Hmm.
But you have to let people be as they are.
To an extent, I mean, yeah, but one of the Osho Rajneesh story is that when Buddha got enlightened, like he was not speaking. He said like this cannot be communicated. But
Mm-hmm.
then, I mean, the story is that mm there are some devatas or like gods.
Mm-hmm.
They say, hey, look, this phenomenal thing happened to this universe. We have to convince, and then they came and they try to convince Buddha. They say, look, okay, I agree. I mean, we agree that this cannot be taught to the general public. There will always be lay persons. There will be, but then think of the five other guys who are with you before your enlightenment. They were like working harder than you, and they
Right.
abandoned you because you started eating once in a day. Those
Yeah.
guys don't even eat once a day. So at least you should go and speak to them and similar people like who are there 99 percentage, that 1 percentage pushes what is needed and they're struggling for lives, right? And then Buddha decides, okay, maybe I'll speak to them. So I think people who know that they are the wholeness, then Osho says that you it is also needed that you share this. But what I learned from you is that it's actually that wholeness is the only reality. How the breeze like comes, nobody knows. It can go anyway. It can.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't know which way it's going to
Right.
manifest.
And
Yeah.
then
Like Ramana didn't want to teach anybody either.
yeah, yeah, intentionally.
Mhm.
People has to come and sit with him for hours together, ask question, and then even he will not speak like Osho. Like I've seen Osho, people ask questions 2 3 lines.
Yeah.
And Osho speaks for 2, 3 hours.
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen that too. I've seen that too. Yes, that's why you can't figure out how it's going to show up.
Yeah. I don't think Osho has ever answered in monosyllables.
No. What, like, give one word answer. Yeah, but there's other gurus too that just don't speak at all. Like, they're just silent. I mean, Ramana was silent a lot of the time.
But fortunately, William, in spite of his intentional silence, fortunately, people could go and drag him out and demand him
Mm.
questions and wait for hours together and then note down, right?
Yeah.
It is good for this world and this society, I believe. Fortunate.
Yeah. Like, I don't even know why I tweet. I tweet, and it's more of like an offering. Like, I'm not trying to pressure.
Mm,
I'm not
mm.
trying to like hunt people down. Like, if it resonates with somebody, it's fine. If it doesn't, then that's fine.
Okay. One of the, I mean, frequently given example is uh, I mean, be the flute for
Hmm.
the air to come in. Like you are just a flute. Through
Yeah.
you, the air comes and music is created. Like you yourself are not creating the music. You just allow the air to come, and whatever music on music is
Yeah.
immaterial.
Yeah. And
Okay.
you do that with like all aspects of life. Like,
Mm.
however you feel like you want to be moved, you move in that direction. Like, whatever feels good, you move in that direction because you trust in the existence. Like, you trust in the source of it. It knows better than the mind. So the mind doesn't come in and resist anything anymore. That's where like your intuition comes in, and you just move intuitively. You don't have plans. You don't worry about the future. You just move because in
Actually,
essence
yeah.
it's illusory anyway. So you already have some comfort level in whichever way it's going to move.
Okay. So William, you said intuition, and we did not discuss much about this intuition still now. So, okay. So there is wholeness and things appear and disappear, and there is intellect and all those things, and then this resistor, the separate individual who is a resistor of whatever hell happens is there. Now, where is this intuition? Like, can you please elaborate more about like what you say about the
Intuition,
intuition?
it's sort of you could probably call it the Tao. There's just an inner sense of something moving life, and you become one with that movement. So you're not trying to really drive your life in one direction. It's I think it was Alan Watts that said it's like you become more of like a boat that's sailing. You go with the way that the wind is favorable. You move in that direction. It's something you just start to understand, and you don't question it. You don't question when something goes against what the old mind would say this is wrong. Like, I need to get away from this, or you accept that it's part of the path that you're like walking.
Okay, what comes to my mind, William, is that this turtles, when the eggs are laid, when
Mm-hmm.
the eggs are hatched, then I mean, when you say use the word intuitively, this is what comes to my mind. Those turtles, they're like baby. When they're hatched out of the egg, it is dark and they have to push that sand, and they always like go towards the water or the ocean
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
intuitively. See that, and there's no separation. They do There is no parents to teach you, there's nobody to guide you. It just happens, and this is what is happening to every single tree, every single animal. I mean, except the humans who are they go to
Well, it
college till
is.
yeah.
It is happening to humans the same way, but they're getting in the way of themselves with the
Because
mind.
even inside the mind, that separative mask, right? That even inside the mind, not the intellect part, not even the emotional part, but imagining that I exist, that I,
Right.
right? That
Mhm.
representational thought made I, separative I.
Yeah, that's
Um,
creating the resistance and the separation and blocking the flow, blocking the Tao. But in
oh,
essence, it's actually doing its part as well because it's creating the suffering and
mm.
the friction that is needed to let go and then re-establish yourself as that Tao, like as that flow. So it's sort of like, people kind of say it's like the game, like the play.
Mm.
You come to play the game to wake up from, the mind's idea of who you are. Why does that happen? Like that, that's unanswerable. Like
Yeah,
that's
that I
that's
can't answer because then people will ask if it doesn't happen also people will ask why it is not happening, why you are
yeah,
empty and why you are
yeah,
not
yeah,
doing
yeah.
anything. So that you know what I'm happy that I understood this impossible question.
Mm.
uh,
Yeah, but the thing is, if you relax, like you start to move with life, like you're not in opposition to it. You start to flow as it, and then that's really when you start to like recede out of the idea of being here personally. You become like everything. Everything becomes you. Like I actually had like an insight a little while ago about like God doesn't need to improve his position. Like if everything is God, why would you need to improve your position like as the individual? Because you're actually all of it. So why are you focusing on this one tiny aspect of what you are and creating all this difficulty and friction like within your life when you're not actually separate from anything else that's appearing? So it's only the mind that wants to improve its position, like to make more money or to have a better, existence. Or and the funny thing is, when you let go of that, everything actually gets better. Like when you let go of the need to improve, everything feels better because you're letting go of that aspect of you that's creating the disturbance. The one that wants to improve is the I, the personal I.
yeah, but William, for this individual to see this or even to drop this and even to live intuitively, almost always the society doesn't allow the
Yeah,
peer
that's why you
pressure.
have you have to be strong. I think it was Krishnamurti said you have to have tremendous grit, like his word that he used. You have to be super strong within yourself to stand alone and and to accept that nobody's going to understand you. But that's what you need to do to drive past the resistance. You have to be fully committed to, I don't care what happens. Like I don't care who abandons me, who leaves me,
Mm,
who misunderstands me, who anything. Anything is okay as long as I come to understand who I am.
mm,
That's what we talked about the other day about like you have to like you have to be like you're underwater and you want to breathe and like the understanding is to get your breath. Like, that's the type of commitment that you have to have. It can't be a passing fancy of an interest in this.
But even that commitment um, will not take one, because you should have that commitment and grit and sacrifice and focus and earnestness. You should have all these things and then drop at the end.
You're saying that's what is supposed to happen, or
Right? Yeah, because that's what you're saying. Look, even if you leave everything and go to the Himalayas and sit in J. Krishnamurti's ashram near beautiful river, it's not
Mhm.
guaranteed to happen. And even if you're a monk and you
Well,
have grit,
that's the other point too. Is you have to still go through it, even with the possibility of it not happening. You can't hold the if you hold the idea that it's going to happen, then it's
yeah,
not.
right. But then you are
Yeah.
sacrificing everything, you are having grit and you are working hard and you're following many people, you're knocking at many doors, Advaita door, spirituality door, and many types of these things. So humongous effort.
Mhm.
But at the end, you should see the futility of the effort, and then you will know that you are that already.
Yeah, that's what happens. That's why people laugh at the end because they're like, "What was I
Okay.
doing? Like I've always
Hmm.
been here."
Okay. So looks like that either you should go towards that tremendous grit, or due to grace, you get great suffering and then you drop it.
Yeah.
Right? So looks like there are two ways. Like human, and even if you're suffering, it is not guaranteed. Suffering, you might pick up some drug habits or drinking habits or whatever hell. Even one might kill themselves. Like even suicide is a possibility here,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Even suffering is not guaranteed because of other reasons, and even a humongous sincere effort is also not guaranteed.
Nope. But you have to know that and continue. Like know that your chances are like this big.
No, no, wait. You are saying know that this road will not lead you to that place, but still you should go.
Yes.
Know that this mountain peak is not your target, but still you have to climb it.
Yes. And to have faith that
And you
this
should
is
have
all,
faith too.
yeah, this is all that I'm here for. I mean, that's why it's so difficult and you don't have very many people that come to the understanding because the mind is very powerful.
But William, at least I'm happy that I'm going to welcome suffering. I'm not going to resist suffering. I'm happy now that really any. I mean, at least I'm not going to resist suffering. I mean,
Well,
I
that's
might
what
hate
that,
it.
I mean,
But,
that's part of the practice is not resisting. Like when something difficult happens, the practice is to not resist it and
hmm,
just to allow it to be because the resistance is the mind and the mind is the problem. So if you
hmm,
don't resist, you're actually weakening, the power that the mind has over the consciousness.
okay. And one of the questions I had was, William, see, the mind has to know that it is the wholeness, and the mind can, mm, like in a sense, know that because that wholeness is also knowingness. Or
Right?
just to elaborate, see, eyes can only see. It is, I don't know, it's even possible for eyes to smell or to taste, and
Mm-hmm.
it can't hear. But then your ears cannot taste or cannot see. Okay. So similarly, as we drew that diagram earlier, um, one of the quality of this universal consciousness is knowingness. Is that the reason why mind can know that it is actually the universal consciousness?
the mind can't know that it's like the universal consciousness. It knows what it's not. Like no, nothing can know the universal consciousness because it's absolute.
So,
It can't
so
even like
knowingness doesn't. Go ahead, please.
Nisargadatta even said, he said, don't like when you may not even be aware of your own awakening, like of your own enlightenment,
Mm-hmm.
because there's no knower of it. Just have to be it.
Okay.
It's like you're there as the silence. So how can the silence know something? Silence doesn't know anything. It's just what you are. And that's why the mind has to relax and become quiet, because the mind always wants to come to some type of conclusion. Like it wants to be at the finish line, that we did it, like we figured it out.
Hmm.
But that's actually never happens. The mind just sort of like it's sort of like a balloon that deflates. It loses all of its power. And then whatever is actually the true power is there, and it knows itself. And that's when the mind just becomes like the servant. It's not the master anymore. The mind has no power. It can offer whatever it wants to offer, any type of problem or anxiety or depression or worry, but it has no power anymore. But until you get to that point, like until you drop the idea that you're going to be there at the finish line, like
Hmm.
a big important part is to see that you're just another object within the experience. Like you yourself are just something that's moving. You're not looking from a personal point of perception anymore. You're
Hmm.
just another object being seen as anything else. You're not seeing from that person.
You mean the individual,
Yeah.
the separative individual, which I
Even
think
the
is real.
yeah, even the body, like even like who you feel yourself to be,
Hmm.
is just an appearance moving within the consciousness. And you, as the witness of the consciousness, are watching yourself moving. So you have to buy into the idea that where you're looking from as a person is actually just another object. It's just another appearance, and it's happening within you. You're watching it, just
Hmm.
as if you're watching like a bird fly or like a dog barking. You're watching you talking. You have to let go of the idea that you're there personally
Hmm.
in that body, solely having that personal experience. Yeah, it's there. It's there as the appearance, just the same way a bird is or a dog is. It has no more significance. You have to let go of your own significance. That's why like humility is important.
Hmm.
You have to be humble and to put yourself, beneath the old self-importance that you had of yourself. Because if you have self-importance, you're still there as the individual. You're putting your personal like goals and ideas, you're leaving them on the table, that you want to keep them there. Then you never really move beyond them because you think that you're still having that personal experience. So to see yourself as just another object within the experience is important. And to know that you're just watching you, like that's a big one. You have to know that you're watching you. You're not watching from you. You're watching you. You're watching you as this idea of the individual trying to come to the place that's already watching you. You're already there watching. but it takes like a lot of like
Yeah.
practice to keep like banging your head against the wall. And then one day you'll have the realization, wait a second, I'm just another object
Hmm.
as anything
Hmm.
else that's here. And there's no significance to it. Everybody wants to be important, to follow your dreams, do all these things, but you're not really that significant. And nobody wants to admit that.
Hmm.
But the thing is, in admitting your insignificance, you become all that is.
Or whatever is real.
Yeah, whatever is real.
Whether I'm infinitely big or I'm nothing, whether I'm a
Mm-hmm.
dog or whether I'm the king is immaterial. But is it so? Is it like what's the reality of
Yeah,
this is important? And then, yeah.
yeah.
So
So that
William, go ahead.
that's why that's why I'm like emphasizing humility. Like you have to put yourself like beneath everything.
One of the questions I had, William, is that see now as I'm been reading Advaita and all, in Advaita they say you are everything. The whole
Mm-hmm.
universe is in you.
Mm-hmm.
And right, but then I thought sometime could it be an ego trip for this personality? Because if somebody offers you, hey, your reality is not this tiny individual, this scary, tiny, like, suffering individual, you are the wholeness, right?
Yeah.
My fear is that, but William, you can say that, but my fear is that what if this is a ego driving
Well,
lie?
that's like the God complex, I think they call it.
Oh, is it? I don't know
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I've heard the term God complex, where you come to the realization that you're all that is, and the ego takes on the persona of the God that is all that is.
Okay. But then is it the ego or it is the reality speaking?
It's the ego because it's still holding the idea that it's something. When you no longer hold the idea that you're anything, there's
Yeah.
nothing there's nothing holding any idea. There's nothing here to hold an idea. The mind is completely quiet. It's not holding onto the idea that I'm all that is. Like thought, that thought becomes meaningless. Any
Okay.
thought becomes meaningless. Any idea, any concept, because it's just an appearance, and you're there before the appearance. So you knowing yourself as prior to any concept is not going to be bothered to say anything about like what you are. That's like what's the Lao Tzu saying is those who know do not
Yeah.
say, and those who say do not know.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what he means.
Hmm.
Somebody that's dropped concepts has no need to even use them. I mean, we use them to try to help point
Yeah.
to that which is beyond concepts.
So there's just one more separation I heard from you. Okay. So this individual separates himself or herself from anything else and then protect, survive, resist, prefer. All those things comes to this individual. Okay. So now what few minutes ago, what I'm understanding is that in this whole thought appears and this individual is part of the thought, but the thought appears to something which is prior to thought. So
Yeah.
if this personality with effort or with suffering or with guidance or whatever this thing shuts up and relaxes, then this personality, when it is non-existent or not present, s- then in the sense then there is a separation between that screen, ever present screen, and whatever appears in the screen. There's a separation.
Yes.
this separation is okay. This separation is the reality. But then the problematic separation is the individual who is part of this image. That is
Yes.
the problematic separation. But in reality, there is another separation which is wanted, or which is the reality, is that I'm the timeless presence, which existed even before the thought came into existence, and even after this thought leaves and some other thought comes. That separation, that witnessing, separate from this personality, is the reality.
Yes.
One should know, or not one should know. I mean, one should relax to. Maybe you can say
Yeah,
that.
you relax out of the idea of who
Hmm.
you are, and then you're just there as that. And then eventually, even the separation of the observation kind of even dissolves eventually,
Yeah, because
where it's just a consciousness.
yeah, the, the timelessly presence, the timelessly present presence, the thing which is in which the thought appears and disappears, the thing which because of which everything is possible to appear and disappear. Now, if this thought somehow shuts up and it knows this, then as that consciousness, obviously, you don't even have a partiality between the body of William, the mind of William, the image of William, the whatever William owns, right? Or
Yeah,
Jairam owns, or the dog owns, or the bird owns. Like there is no preferential treatment for this Jairam or William. Jairam
yeah,
or William is just one of this thing, and Jairam is hungry. Okay, let Jairam eat. William is hungry. Okay, let us share. Or right, because there is
yeah,
no preferential treatment, and so that the idea of the Jairam is part of the universal flow. Then it's just another boat in this, another wave in this ocean. There's no
sure.
preferential treatment. This wave, that wave, this wave is bigger. This wave has to live everlastingly. It's all unnecessary, right? Even if this wave drops now, okay.
Yeah,
Right.
that's what you get to,
And,
because
and, and
there's nobody coming in making a commentary about what's happening.
hmm, okay.
So if there's nobody making the commentary, then just whatever is happening is whatever is happening, and whatever is moving is whatever is moving. And that's why I said it like becomes intuitive, and you're just moving as life moves, because you don't have that narrator within the mind trying to drive yourself in a certain direction.
Hmm.
And it's funny because Nisargadatta, he also said that like true awareness, he says, is unawareness. Like you go back to what you were, because there's not even the observer anymore.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
There's just nothing. But there's no individual there. It's just whatever is moving. And like that's when you can feel free and relaxed.
Hmm.
That's why like there's certain individuals that they can die in peace. They can just pass. There's no struggle.
More importantly, they can live in peace,
Mm.
which is like near impossibility for people.
Yeah, Muji talks about that. There's people with like a fear of death, but he's like, there's also people with a fear of life. you know.
Hmm.
But the funny thing is, it's like so perfect. Everything is so perfect.
Already,
Yeah, and
neither your.
everybody's struggling to make it perfect, which is the imperfection.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. And okay, I think. I am surviving because I work hard, I plan, and I have bank balance, I have a home, and all those things. But
Hmm.
then, who is beating my heart every second? Who
Yeah,
is pumping this?
who's breathing you? Yeah.
Yeah, right? It is like that innocent tortoise. Like, I mean, it is not its effort. Like, it doesn't know. It is intuitively it is doing. It breaks the shell, then walks to the ocean. Uh, Even before walking to the ocean, there is so much death waiting. Like crabs
Hmm.
eat them, birds eat them,
Yeah.
and then you
Yeah.
go, and there's no guarantee for food there also,
Hmm.
and nobody taught it to eat also. So there are so many things are happening. Similarly, even with with Jairam, there is like so many things are happening for the survival of this body. But I think I mean, this mind thinks because of my effort only, I'm surviving. If I don't put that effort, I will die.
Yeah. Yeah. I always say nobody lives in a silo. You don't live in a silo.
Yeah.
You're part of the ecosystem. Like I told you the other time we talked, that like that house is as much as you are. You couldn't survive like without that house, to have that place to be free of the cold. Like,
Hmm.
so that's as much a part of you as your body is. Like without the house, your body would not exist either,
Hmm.
or your supermarket, or like whatever, like everything,
Yeah. Sorry, the supermarket?
like where you get your food from. It's as much
Yeah.
a part of you
Me.
as your body is. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, or the sun. We're talking about the sun.
Yeah.
The sun is within you. The sun's rays
Hmm.
was within the food. It's everything that's grown. It's all one movement. But we're so habituated to breaking everything up, because that's what the mind is. The mind's division. Once it breaks
Hmm.
everything up into separate objects.
And selfishness that only I have to survive. I
Yeah.
don't care if all of like Asia, Europe, Antarctica, and all submerged in the ocean. I'll be less worried than me, right?
Yeah. And that creates conflict. With That's where the root of conflict is. Like the root of every war is me.
Yeah. I've heard like somebody says, "Hey, I'm going to make bread from scratch." Okay. Then somebody else says, "To make bread from scratch, you have to start from Big Bang."
Mm. That's true. It's absolutely true. You have to see it. Everything is just the tip. Everything's the tip of the Big Bang. Like Alan Watts said that. He said you're just the tip of the Big Bang.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, in the sense, for this to happen, that has to happen. For that has to happen, like something else has to happen. It's the whole chain. Even
Yeah,
if
and
something, yeah.
that's why there's no cause and effect, because if everything's causing everything, then
Hmm.
there is no cause and effect. Like Nisargadatta said, that's just a way of thinking about things.
Hmm.
Cause and effect. It's meaningless. But
But
that's what you have to come to see, how interconnected everything is.
hmm.
Every moment, everything is connected to everything else in every moment. Like for you to do anything, everything else has to be the way that it is.
Hmm. Okay. But I don't give credit to those billion things happened for me to make a cup of coffee and drink.
Start, start,
In the sense,
start, start. Every time you drink coffee, appreciate everything that it took
right?
to have
But
that
but
cup of
but
coffee.
I don't think that this. coffee seeds was grown somewhere else, and I don't think.
Uh,
I think
Yeah,
I
it was,
made this coffee.
yeah, yeah. Well, that's why I said start seeing every piece that's actually involved,
Wow,
and that's how you like recede out of the idea of you doing anything personally.
this is a humongously awesome meditation. That to
Hmm.
see that, uh, but actually, honestly, if somebody asks, "Hey, did you make this coffee or tea?" I'm going to say, "Yeah, I made
Yeah,
this coffee at my home." At my home. But none of these statements are real. I did this coffee was possible because of million other things which happened in the past, right? But I never
yeah,
give credit to any of those things. I
yeah.
confidently say, yes, I made this coffee.
Yeah, you know who was really big with that was Thich Nhat Hanh. Thich Nhat Hanh was big with interbeing. He called it interbeing. You inter
Wow.
are. He said you inter are with
This
everything.
is beautiful.
Yeah,
Even I am not like inter. This is beautiful. Like
yeah, right.
yeah,
Yeah, I love
interbeing.
I love that phrase inter are. You inter are with everything.
And I'm interbeing with everything. Sorry, what's the first word you used for objective inter? Like this cup is inter present? I don't know what's
Inter
used.
are.
Inter
Inter
are.
are.
Inter
Yeah,
is. Wow. Okay. That,
yeah.
that is.
But that's the type of stuff you do to loosen the mind's hold of identity of an individual. You break it by saying no, that's impossible. That's when you start
Hmm.
using your intellect. The intellect is working for you as opposed to against you because you're breaking down the old regime of I'm doing everything personally. So every little thing that you do like that, where you contemplate everything that had to happen for something very small that you do to be done, you expand yourself into like a universal being. And then you realize that everything is being affected by everything else.
Hmm.
And that's when you're like, wait a second, how could I do anything personally? Like with all these things that are actually involved, how could like it's an arrogance, it's just the arrogance of the mind.
Hmm.
And then that's when your heart starts to open up as well, because you start to see, hey, I am all of this stuff is happening all at once, and I'm not separate from it. And then that's when you see people like, person at the grocery store, the delivery guy at the grocery store,
Hmm.
wherever they got the food from, the farmer's family, like the farmer's parents, however that farmer got there. Like,
Yeah.
it all led to you being able to have like that bite of food that you're eating like absent-mindedly.
Okay. I mean, this 20 minutes gave me a humongous clarity about why this separateness is a foolish idea,
Mm,
which 8 billion people believe strongly.
yeah.
Hmm. Okay.
And that's when you start to have like an affinity for everything. You see the beauty in everything because it's all you. And
Appearing
you
in
have,
me
yeah. And then that's when you start to have compassion for everything.
because they are not separate from me.
Yeah. It's funny because you have a dispassion, but you also have a compassion. You have a dispassion because you see it as this is just an appearance, but there's also a compassion because you know that it's within the within the appearance, it's all you.
Hmm.
It's coming out of you as the source, like it's your creation. And that's why it's like the greatest person like leaves nothing. They leave without like leaving an imprint on, even though their imprint is really there, but there's nothing there within them. Like the greatest imprint you can leave is like your absence. And that's what's like felt the most.
The personality's absence.
Yeah. Because what is left over is, the pure like love of the consciousness is there. And that's why people remember like a Jesus or a Buddha, because they're remembering what they are when the mind is no longer infringing upon the experience. And it's a reminder of what they are. That's why they remember those people. But within Jesus and within Buddha, there was nothing there,
Hmm.
except for the presence of the emptiness.
Hmm. Actually, I am reminded of one answer which Ramana Maharshi gives. So somebody goes and asks, like, Jesus had the power to bring dead people alive, and
Mm-hmm.
he did so many miracles, right? So what do you think of that? Then Ramana Maharshi says, Jesus, when that happened, Jesus did not exist as a personality.
Mm-hmm.
He was existing as a wholeness, and then in wholeness, anything can happen, right? Like, there's no questions asked. Jesus might not have done thinking that I, the personality, is going to make this dead person alive or whatever miracle is possible, right?
Yep.
And then Osho Rajneesh, when he tells the story, he explains, look, miracles are always happening. Everything is a miracle. You breathing is a miracle. It's an impossibility for your breathing to happen. There's so many infinite things has come in line,
Yeah.
right?
That's what we just talked about.
Yeah,
Is you start to see the perfection. Like how improbable is this?
yeah.
Like
This breath.
like looking yeah, like looking at the entire universe, like looking at the solar system, like looking how
Yeah,
many dead planets like we've encountered,
yeah.
and then to find like life here, it's a miracle.
Yeah, so anything and everything is a miracle. Why do you see that somebody dead has to come back, and then did he live everlastingly? This is what Buddha asks. Okay, he came back to life. Did he live everlasting? Was he like always happy? That's what you should look. Not like you can give fish to a guy for a day, or you can save one guy for a day.
Mm-hmm.
Even bigger miracle is happening like every second.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what you come to understand, and it's only understood by relaxing.
After humongous effort, not even simple relaxing, after either humongous effort or humongous suffering.
I mean, you could relax into it if you really understood. If somebody, it that could happen as well. You don't have to go down the path of suffering.
Hmm.
That's the most probable path, but people could relax into this as well if they have an insight into the nature of reality and then just start to relax out of the idea of being separate from everything. It's also a possibility.
Yeah. All these years, we always think and believe the sun is rising, but in reality, it is always there. Only
Yeah.
this earth is rotating.
Yeah, just something as simple as that, people don't really question.
Yeah, we have to shift this frame of mind that because of me, this whole universe is running. I'm not the center of the universe. I mean, this persona, this mask, this separative individual, not because of this, the whole universe is running, or the whole universe has to be like this because of this, right? That
Hmm.
shift in that frame of seeing.
Yeah, you become more soft. You become more soft and you allow. Like, you know, Lao Tzu with the Tao was always like talking about like being soft, flexible. Like those who are rigid, like are broken. You know, those who are soft, they can withstand the difficulties because they're not resisting them.
Hmm. And then, okay, yeah, a 3 or 4 or 5 year old innocent child has got all these qualities.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe is that the reason for why childrens are like liked because they have that innocence, which is our natural state.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Hmm. And then society corrupts us.
Yeah,
Okay,
everybody has to play the game.
thank you. Okay, so actually, I had a couple of questions somewhere in the middle, which I can't recall. So there's one other thing I always want to do is go through some of your tweets and okay, no, I don't want to go through tweets. Let me see if I can get recall those questions for the next 10 minutes ish.
Let me ask you a question. Like,
Please.
how
Yeah,
do you see your practice at this point in time? Are you still going
I'm
through the futility, or
uh, oh, I reminded of another question. Okay. Another question which is part of this, which will answer your question. Okay.
okay?
There is one story of one guy. One second. Um, I'll get the story in a minute. Prometheus. See, I've heard that Prometheus was cursed, that every single day, like he's tied up, and then one eagle will come and eat his heart alive, and then he will
Mm-hmm.
die. And again, he will be reborn next day, then eagle will come, then he has to undergo this torture timelessly. This is a story.
Okay.
Just yesterday, this is what I was thinking. I speak to you, and then at the end of the 2 hours, there's no questions. Life is good. Then I go back to my work, and then the pain and the suffering and the ego and the personality and the ambition and the planning and this money saving, everything comes full swing. And then somewhere in the middle, okay, I get inside. I don't take it seriously. And then today I got like very bad nightmare, and I wake up. It's like, why the hell did I get this nightmare? I mean, it's a nightmare. It's so pathetic. Unfortunately, I remember this, and then I'm going to remember this for a longer time. Looks like it's nightmare
Okay.
related to a relationship, and then I was like very unhappy at the morning. See, it did not even happen in my real life. I mean, in this waking life.
Right.
It's a nightmare about my relationship, and now I'm going to. I hope I forget it in few weeks, but then it's a very painful thing, right?
Mm.
I don't want that to happen, honestly, right? So, okay. So now what I was thinking is, I take 3 steps, I fall down 2 steps, I take 3 steps, and so this is how this practice is going. Uh, But fortunately, it looks like it's a positive spiral,
Right.
right? When I started
Hmm.
with week one, okay, now I'm better, clearer, things are clearer, right? Luckily, it is surely a positive spiral, but still the pain and suffering and the fear, it's all there. And then many times in a week, I mean, every single day, I think this individual, the mask is so accustomed, or the shoe is so tight, like I still put on that, that mask. The thought appears, and that separative individual mask appears, and it is so tight, and I'm so engrossed that I hold on to that still, is what I think. So at least it's a positive spiral, good news. But the reality is that those now I
But
can
I,
comfortably, yeah.
what I would say is like just say, even to the difficulties, just say thank you. Like, thank you for having this appear.
Hmm.
Because in doing so, you're letting go of the idea that you can actually do anything
Hmm.
to
Hmm. Hmm.
to improve. If you actually don't need to improve, it's the idea that you need to kind of relax into a better state of mind that's going to keep everything kind of going from quiet to busy to suffering to quiet to busy to suffering, because you still have this idea that you can do something about it.
Yeah.
So it perpetuates that, the spiral may be getting better, but to hold the idea that things need to improve, like you have to drop that idea. So even when things are difficult, you just say, I accept that this is the way that it is. Not that
Hmm.
I, not that I've fallen back 2 steps. It's just the way that it is. You're just
Hmm.
here in that moment with this experience, and I accept it. And thank you for that, because it's reminding me to accept things the way that they are. Because a
But
lot of
even,
times, if things are good, you don't actually even think about the practice.
yeah.
You're not even thinking about it.
Right, 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 right. Yeah,
And when
yeah.
things get to be a little bit hard and we kind of fall to
Hmm.
put the mask back on, then when we remember that the mask is on, you say thank you for showing me that the mask is on.
Hmm.
And in essence, the one that's thanking you is the consciousness. It's already there watching.
Hmm.
So you're thanking yourself for showing you this idea of the person wearing the mask. And every time you thank yourself, you're reestablishing yourself as the one that's witnessing,
Hmm.
as opposed to the mind that wants to get back to the point of peace, because that's just going to perpetuate the cycle. You're just going to keep running through the cycle because you think you need to do something better to take the mask off. But the one that wants to take the mask off is the mask.
Hmm.
So you just say thank you.
Hmm.
Whatever disturbance you feel, thank you for showing me the mask. And the one that's saying that is the consciousness. And it'll know it. It'll know it because you're not controlling any of this. What knows it is already within you, and it's going to arise when you step out of the way. And you step out of the way by saying thank you to whatever is appearing, because there's no more resistance.
Um, Sorry, you said consciousness thanks you. Did you say something like that? I missed a few sentences previously.
When you say thank you,
Yeah.
it's consciousness saying thank you to itself. It is.
Hmm.
It is because you're stepping out of the idea of the mind, who is in resistance, and you're taking on a separate point of perception that's thanking you for showing you the resistance that the mind is
But how can
offering.
William,
Offering.
from what standpoint consciousness can say thank you to what appears?
It doesn't even have to be verbal. It's something within yourself.
Really?
Mm-hmm. It's you can call it even love. Call it love if you want. Have a love for the resistance because that doesn't make it very tangible. It's kind of intangible, but that's actually what you are, and you're letting it out. You're superseding the idea of the mind needing to do something to get rid of the resistance. You're saying, no, 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 no. I love the fact that you're actually showing me this. And that's going to be the consciousness opening itself up to acceptance of whatever appears. Like the nightmare that appeared. Thank you. I love the fact that the nightmare appeared because it's pointing out the unreality of the mind. Like, look at this difficulty that it's imposing upon the consciousness. It's not real. But you can't say that from the standpoint of the mind. That's why it's important to, I think love is a good word, to not resist and love the fact that it appears and accept it and thank it because it's asking you to step beyond it. That's why it feels bad.
But William, I'm missing a couple of things here. If Jairam's personality makes a decision, I have to use the word consciously. It's such a recursive word. So Jairam's personality consciously makes a decision that I should recede, right? If when this what appears makes the decision, this wholeness will thank this what appeared. That doesn't make logical sense to me.
Yeah, well, why do you have to make logical sense out of it?
It's not even possible. How can the
Why?
timeless universal consciousness, which is running this whole show, along with this 8 billion people, can come and thank this one mask? Hey, thanks for receding. Is it? I mean, is it first? Is it so? I mean, am I making a correct statement?
Yeah. And I'm going to tell you that you have to let go of logic. I know you're a very logical guy.
This is interesting for me to hear, for sure, that the universal consciousness will even come and love or thank
You have
this
to remember
individual.
you have to remember pointings are not always the truth. Pointings are what you
Hmm.
need to hear.
Okay.
You need to hear
Okay.
something that's going to go against your logic
Hmm.
because the logic is the problem.
Okay.
And you have to trust that there's something greater
Okay.
than
Okay. So uh,
yourself.
I have to drop logic in this area. It's like the black hole, right? No physical universe's physical quality is valid there. Like there's no gravity, there's no magnetic force, there is no
And you have
life.
to
Yeah.
that's how you open yourself up to the impossibility of knowing.
The impossibility of knowing that the reality of this
Yeah, but the
personality
mind,
is the universal.
like the
Yeah.
yeah, the mind can't know it. So if you keep sitting there saying this doesn't logically make sense, yeah, you're not going to know it ever. So something has to break that pattern.
Right, right. At
So
that level, at yeah,
so so choose to do something that goes against, counter to what you logically think is possible, and actively choose that.
hmm.
because you're choosing something other than what you've known yourself to be. You're stepping outside of your comfort level of
Hmm.
this has to logically make sense. You have to be illogical to awaken.
Logic, like, loses all its validity in that area.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that is clear for me. Thanks. Okay, yeah, it's 8 o'clock. Shall we end it or shall we continue?
I think that's about it.
Thank you. So I'll